Greetings. I am just going to get into the straight and dirty of, I'm going to read this statement because I feel like it's important. I'll be quick and dirty with this one because Rick Reinierson is a government slut who likes to take that fat military industrial cock and watch as his wife is cucked by better and better men. Rick Reinierson continues to paint a target on my back. He's been stalking me and harassing me ever since I began blowing the whistle on America's disastrous drone program. He stalked me online and done everything he can to ruin my reputation, no matter what I'm doing, even though I've tried to ruin my own reputation. Always trying to distract the American people away from my statements about the disastrous wars that we shouldn't be engaged with anymore, wars that cause horror many of us cannot unsee and cannot condone. Even now in my hometown, Rick Reinierson is fear-mongering individuals in my community, alleging that I'm threatening physical violence upon them. Ludicrous. So who is this Rick Reinierson, and why does he have such a hard-on for me? I'll tell you something. Back in 2016, I have a link to the blog that I just posted, but in 2016, I was approached by a few men who were part of the United States Marine Corps. And they said, out of respect for my grandfather, who they wrestled for, they weren't going to do anything to me, but I should shut up because if I'm lying. And I told them that I wasn't. And so what did they do? They killed one of the Marines that stood up for me. His name's J.C. Whitaco. And they burnt him down in his own house. I can look it up. But nothing was ever happened to him because all the guys that did it were all part of this good old boys club. And apparently people would rather get away with bad shit than actually do something fucking honorable, right? Because of that, my mom felt threatened. My family felt unsafe. Come to find out, Rick Reinierson also was in league with the people that took my son from me. And so here we have a situation where the local police is reaching such a boiling point. The local politics is reaching such a boiling point with our citizens committing suicide around us, and with all of our local businesses closing down, and with one of the highest income disparities in the country, where emotions are very high, and once again we are distracting attention away from the pressing issues of extreme suffering in our community. And because emotions are high, certain elements of identity politics are rearing their ugly heads again. And right now that's manifesting with certain elected officials in my town feeling threatened because this online bully continues to blow my statements completely out of proportion and take them completely out of context. He's attempting to again rob me of the quality of my words, but this time it involves my very own community, which I cherish more than my very own life. And that is why I swore an oath to the Constitution to defend my community from all threats, both foreign and domestic. I'm being smeared as threatening a public official with whom I disagree politically. I was recently featured in our local media station, KECI, Missoula, for voicing my opposition to the misuse and abuse of Montana's tax increment financing statute, which is causing measurable harm to many people, and nobody wants to talk about it. And now that people like me are talking about it, they're trying to silence the issue once again. I've been notified of a potential restraining order that would bar me from attending city council meetings in my own town, a town I was born in, where many activists have been voicing vociferous opposition to neoliberal policies that disadvantage Montana taxpayers to extreme and absurd degrees. This translates into a truth teller being potentially robbed of his First Amendment rights for honestly voicing the frustrations and despairs felt by people all around the community over, and myself, because my country, I fucking killed for my country and felt bad about it, and then everyone tried to make me feel like I was supposed to do it, completely destroyed everything in my life. And then I talk about it when I'm on my deathbed, which the United States military fucking injured me because I started talking about the PTSD and the trouble that I was having, and they didn't want anyone to do about it. So what they do, during training, they tried to fucking kill me. And I survived. And they've been waiting for me to die ever since. And I haven't gotten any of the health care that I've needed. And I've not even brought this fucking stuff up to the media. I've stuck to my points. This translates to a truth teller being potentially robbed of his First Amendment rights for honestly voicing the frustrations and despair felt by people all around the community. People our elected officials claim to represent. Things are really dark in Missoula, and no one's talking about it. And okay, I admit it, I've had a mental breakdown. Several. I blew the whistle and it seems like nothing happened. I was ousted from my church. I was excommunicated from my family. I lost my job. I lost my son. I lost my health. The people that were on my side were all fucking fake. Through that whole thing. And I've crawled my way back home into a nice safe corner. I even told the city council 3 weeks ago that I was done with their fucking shit and I wasn't going to come back. And how I'm going to eliminate them is I'm going to get the people to vote them out. And I'm going to make sure that the entire city council is replaced. I'm not going to kill them. I swore an oath to not do violence against people unless it's to defend someone else or my own life. I'm not going to go out and seek it. I mean, how many times do I have to state that? I'm going to be as intense as I can, but I'm not going to cross the line. That's why I know my heart's in the right place. I sincerely hope that the members of my community do not seriously believe that I mean them physical harm. And let me spell it out. I mean no physical violence to anyone. I swore an oath after I left the infernal drone program. I'm a disabled veteran, for God's sake. I'm tired of unnecessary fighting with people just as underserved by the status quo as I am. That's why I became a whistleblower. Hello? That's why I talk about veterans' issues and shit, because they're not taking care of us. And yet my biggest opponents and the ones that get in my way are veterans. Rick Rynierson is a veteran. He was in the program. He knows how fucking shit he is. I don't understand what his fucking issue is unless he's being paid by the government to do what he's doing. Being a troll, being an asshole. When this guy first came into my life, just like everyone else that I did, I accepted him into my life, hoping that he was a fucking major. He could have helped. He could have gotten everything. Everything could have been better. And instead, he let his fat fucking ego get in the way. That's why I quit whistleblowing as well. It's because, I did my job. I did what I need to do. I'm not a politician. I'm a warrior. I'm a scholar. I don't want their fucking job, but I will make sure that they do it right. And if not, they will be eliminated. They'll go somewhere else. They won't be in my community. And anyone who wants to enter my community will have to have my permission. Simple as that. And I will go to the city council meetings. I will make myself be a nuisance. And I will make sure that everything is being done rightly, morally, ethically. I'm not a legalese person. I fucking hate that shit. I hate lawyer talk. I hate legalese. I hate the fact that someone like Rick Rynierson, whose wife is a lawyer, the stupid cunt, and he can sit there and do whatever he wants and not face any repercussions. And when directly confronted, he'll hide behind the fact that he can sue people. He's even got a GoFundMe for his freedom of speech stuff because he's saying stupid shit that he shouldn't, stuff that's not true, and people are dogging on him for it. So he has to raise funds. I tried to do a Patreon to see if I could get help for my own personal stuff while I do the whistleblowing tour thing and inform people, because unlike Manning, who's in jail, and Snowden, who's in exile, I'm one of the only guys that gets free roaming around the world. Well, since I can't afford to pay my fucking child support because I have no job, they took my passport away. So I guess it's just in the United States. Furthermore, I sincerely hope that the members of my community take note that this Rick Rynierson character who started a GoFundMe to pay his legal fees that accrue from all the slander suits he dodges at a constant basis due to his highly inflammatory nature, defaming the character of people who tell the truth about war. And he's also picking some fight with some Japanese politician over in Seattle. And this is the pot calling the kettle black. And for some reason, Rick Rainerson can't seem to find anything better to do with his days but demonize me as the reason for all the problems in his world. It's really a sad state of affairs, and I trust the highly literate Missoulians all around me can see right through it. This blatant tactic, again, to disarm the will of the popular majority. Missoula taxpayers are losing out big time. Our 500 homeless school children are losing out big time, and our suicide rates are not getting any better. So let's focus on the fucking issues, please. Reducing this to personality seems pretty infantile at this point. Please quit diverting the issues into ad hominem attacks on my personality and competing the victim Olympics of the little boy who cried wolf. The above statements represent those made by me, Brandon W. Bryant. Best regards. I hate human beings. My own country has showed me that it's full of nothing but filled with nothing but fucking trash. Trash humans. And while some people say that there's a majority of them are silent and don't know what to do, when there's definitely trouble that's going on as it is, we need people to stand up for them fucking selves. More importantly, we need people to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do for others in the community and humanity, not because it's what society tells us to do. Marijuana. I have my medical card. But I didn't start smoking until I was 27 years old. You know why I started smoking? Because every time I drank, it would make me numb or get fucking angry after I was injured. And I didn't want to take pills. Pills made me weird and loopy, and I learned from wrestling that ibuprofen makes me sick. So I did everything as natural as I possibly could. Still doing it as natural as I possibly could. And my friend one day, as I was having a rage fit, he handed me a joint and he said, "Smoke this." And I looked at him and I was like, you know what? I might as well. And it helped so much. I might have been dulled. My senses might have been dulled. But once I started practicing focuses and all the mental disciplines that I found on my own, the VA should have taught me while I was looking for help, applying those techniques, as well as smoking weed for medicinal purposes, not just to get high. I mean, I don't even feel good while I'm high sometimes. I just feel like I can tolerate being in my body. And I've done research on psychedelics. And the reason why those are illegal is A, they reveal your own soul to yourself and what you put in yourself. And B, they show you the truth. Whatever it is that you want to ask. There's some things you don't want to ask. But even then, we're just now coming out with all these studies that this stuff could be beneficial. I betting they've known for years, decades, entire cultures have used this type of stuff to go into battle and come out of battle just for its soldiers alone. I mean, we can no longer live in a world that benefits a small amount of people and punishes the rest for being alive, for simply living. If we look at the I Ching and other ancient texts, wealth is a blessing that if you're given it, that means that some intelligence or maybe some stroke of fate on some of that regard has deemed that you are worthy enough to govern this power. So let's face it, most people are too fucking stupid to govern their own finances. And one reason why I'm a big fan of universal income is simply because of that. Is because you can put someone on $1,200 a month, and as long as those things are not spent on illicit stuff, you should be able to survive almost anywhere. Granted, this false inflation and weird economy that we live in has screwed that up, but we bring these things within certain boundary limitations of our imagination where these things should remain, we can actually would probably actually function a little better. I was really inspired by this Ronnie Chang. I watched his Netflix stand up, and he's like, the reason why there should be an Asian president is not because he would side with either the whites or the blacks. They hate us both. They just want shit to work. And that spoke to my heart just as deeply as the Bhagavad Gita did. That simple line was, we just want shit to work. And obviously what we can see right now, that shit don't work. This is another thing that I don't understand about Rick. Every single time that he's come into my life and tried to antagonize me to do something, it's when I've stepped away from it. Like in 2016? When I basically was like, I don't know what to do. I'm done. I had taken a step back and he started attacking me and harassing me online by making all this weird shit. And I was hurt because I had hope for this guy. I mean, hope for us all. I thought he was like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Like, I really felt like I was just out there fighting a battle by myself. And then, of course, the people that I brought into my life ended up all being fake in one way or another to try to help me solve this crisis and fight this issue and do the right thing like I was raised and trained by the military to do. I mean, we could have done some really good work. And instead, for the most part, I'm not even hopeless. Hope has abandoned me. I don't even feel its loss anymore. I just feel like there's just work to do. That's another thing. The old ancient texts are right. As far as I can tell, this isn't our only life. And I mean, unless we want it to be, and then you just get melded back into the greater consciousness, the overmind. But this isn't our only chance. And there's this phrase that in the Tao Te Ching that says, wisdom is the refuge of the wise. And I've only sought wisdom. And whether you think it's dark wisdom or not, it's still wisdom. But never mind. I just keep. Whenever I think of Rick, I'm not even mad. I'm just sad. I'm just fucking sad. Like, I mean, at least he was one of the. If it wasn't for him and Melissa, two people that disappointed me and hurt me pretty badly, like I wouldn't have had the will to live and continue fighting. Like when I met Melissa and Rick basically at the same time, pretty much, I'd given up everything. Like even when Rick started doing the thing that got us arguing was he posted this thing about being a Gnostic who doesn't believe in free will, and I said, well, I believe in free will. I believe in, and then it became hostile. And at that point, I was like, right before I met Melissa, I had made the decision to kill myself because of online stuff, and my family wasn't supporting me. I had no support. I had no personal support. I knew I was doing the right thing, but I didn't want to live in a world where everyone was a fucking coward. So I met this girl named Kat. And boy, whew, one of the prettiest women I've ever met. And Melissa as well. Like, side by side, I think I basically was looking at two goddesses. One Bosnian and one Italian. And the Norwegians that I was with, I'm not ever going to refer to them by name. They're just the Norwegians. They were encouraging me to settle down, find someone and everything, but I knew in my heart that I was basically dead. I couldn't go back to the States. I'd say goodbye to my dog, basically say goodbye to my mom and my sisters, and just I don't know. JSOC has killed people for less. But if I'm going to be known in history as having been a part of a group of people who were the best at what they've done, but they did it dishonorably, I would rather be known as the guy who, while I worked for them, I honored everything that they did, but when I got out, I honored my heart. And I stayed loyal and honorable to that. There's no sense in thinking that I wasn't going to die. And really, who would have gotten vengeance for me? No one. There's no one that loves me. There's no one that will probably ever love me, and I'm okay with that. I got my duty. But at that point in November, been right after we returned from New York, and I had my showing of my film in Times Square. 4 showings, all sold out to empty theaters. Someone bought all the tickets. it was when that happened and talking with the people that I was with for ideas on what to do, and how to approach it, what they thought, and no one had an idea of their own. I knew that no one was taking what I was doing seriously. They were just riding along on my coattails. Yeah, I feel like I'm following the basic structure of an ancient religion to confront the modern world. And all I'm doing is following my heart and my intuition. I was hoping that I would find someone that's if Rick wanted to ever know what my highest ideals for him were, I wanted him to be like Jean-Luc Picard, who is the only real person that I would have ever considered to serve under, and it been an honor. I wanted that. I wanted him to be that person who I can say that I served under someone who I admired, even if it wasn't directly. Like I would have worked with him, but no one's ever stood up to the leadership that my mother, my grandfather, or my great grandfather has shown me. No one. How is that possible? And I'm looking pretty hard. Found a lot of fakers. And I guess I really just doubt myself too. I can't fill that slot. I can't fill that position. I'm a broken and tired man who is trying to heal my spirit and my soul in any way that I possibly can. I'm tired of fighting against corrupt politicians who are so obviously corrupt that it makes me sick. And talking about eliminating them from their position because they do not meet the standards that are required of them and running them out of town. Like, those people will not live in my town. They're an embarrassment. I want them driven out of my town. I was born here. I was raised here. I fought and killed and murdered for these people. This is my home. If they're not going to allot me a plot of land, I'm going to come to my home and claim it as mine. I spilled blood for this. I gave blood for this. I swore an oath to defend this. Worst part is like, the more I think about it, the more I realize that we invaded, of course, the more I understand that we've invaded another foreign country for illicit gains, and we've murdered people in their own homes. And I did it from half world away, as a fucking coward would. I was made to do it. You know, made to kill fellow human beings. And I was being told that these people were evil. When I went to Egypt, the people there were, even though I was robbed twice of my cash, I found it such a thrilling experience. And I mean, I didn't think if it really came down to a fight, I would have beaten the shit out of them. But I thought it was such a great experience that I mean, I got perfume and some papyrus out of it. I think that's a pretty good deal. And a free meal. When I saw these people, like, over in Egypt and over in the Middle East, I've seen enough of Iraq and Afghanistan and the way that people live over there and their humanity to tell you that when I look at human beings in America, I don't see anyone different. If I unfocus my eyes and I just watch the shapes move around, the patterns are the same. The interactions, you can still tell when someone is expressing joy or love or happiness or sadness or anger. I've met more kindness over in the Middle East than I have in my own home country. What does that have to say? My aunt recently sent 4 members of her church to try to convert me back to Christ because I criticized her for supporting Trump after killing the Iranian general, and then criticized her again after the GOP refused to hear any witnesses, and all she did was give me excuses. And she's been trying to outreach to me. She sends me Bible messages or telling me about this autobiography that she's writing. I'm not even writing an autobiography. I look at my life and fucking hate it. I'm writing a story that is a reflection of certain key aspects of my life, but an autobiography. I was just this strange, nerdy, spiritual kid who was just a nice kid. Just trying to do the right thing. And being an idiot while doing it. I wish I had an answer for everyone. I don't have a solution. My biggest solution is drawing back from the Pentagon budget and actually taking care of our people. I won't see my country be overrun by tyrants. And if you feel threatened by that statement, good. You should be afraid. Because there are a lot worse things than death and physical violence. I will have justice. And I will make sure you all live, that justice is served. The Dharma, it will be fulfilled. Karma will be paid. Whatever language that I need to get across to you, the same language that every single prophet and whistleblower and truth teller has said to the communities that they approach time and time again. And if our histories and stories are anything, then you won't listen. And we're just going to watch society crumble again. I have the answers. I have a lot of the answers that I've hard fought and sought for. And I've tried to share these answers because they're not mine to keep. Once knowledge is given, it should be shared. because essentially we're all one being. And whatever we deny someone else is what we deny ourselves. If we deny people to live healthy, purposeful lives, not necessarily pleasurable, but purposeful, then I think that we've done the best we can. It's that simple. It really is that simple. I use religious language as well as war language because that's the language that I was grown up with and twisted, and I'm doing my best to untwist it. My grandfather was a very emotional man. The men in my family have been pretty emotional, except for my uncles. They're sociopathic. But just because someone expresses emotion and says something, those aren't the people you have to worry about. The intelligence community should know this. Everyone should know this. It's the people that don't speak it you should worry about. Because they don't have the words to express what it is that they're experiencing. And because they don't have the ability to express it, it's just going to build and build and build. And I'm an empathic person. It's been one of my biggest downfalls, actually, because I feel my emotions so cleanly and deeply. And sometimes I fear that I can feel the emotions of others, especially when my shingles goes off. And I think that that's a thing that all men should strive for, is the ability to express those things. Because I'm pissed. I've been violated. I'm not a victim. I think that's what everyone is so terrified about, is that I'm not a victim. I'm going to have justice. It's in my heart. Those who thirst for justice will be satisfied. Honestly, I don't even know what else to say. I'm just tired. I'm tired of garbage human beings. And like, of course, what I said, karma will have her way. If we look at the climate disaster that we've created, it will probably wipe out much of humanity. And maybe this coronavirus will wipe out a lot of humanity too. I mean, we done fucked up. And we're going to pay the price for it. My job is to just bear witness to it and help us find a solution if anyone desires to. May the phoenix rise within your hearts.